Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities in Miniature. It's time to bring you the latest and greatest from the Dragon Trappers Lodge because I can't help myself, especially when it comes to all things lizards, which is what their latest release is, which is the Cult of the Pale One, which just so happens to be a bunch of savage, primitive, albino lizard folk. What can possibly go wrong? So I showed this off before, but this was just a quick kind of proof of concept for myself using a bunch of leftover contrast paints. And, the results are decent. I kind of got what I wanted and got a good idea of what's going on with these guys. This specific model is one of their albino rippers. So we have a distinction between the basic lizard folk and then the Rippers. The Rippers are going to be armed with more traditional close combat weapons and bows and arrows, I believe, but my favorite were these serrated kind of stone knives they had. And you'll see they are just absolutely adorned and festooned with all kinds of crude artifacts, mostly just bones of their victims, along with some random leathers here and there. I want to say he might actually be from the command unit, because he's got like the little cowl thing on his head. I'm not 100% sure. You'll notice that all of the bases are keyed. If you're not familiar with the Dragon Trappers Lodge, they do usually have specific bases made for each figure, but obviously that's nothing that some clipping here and there can't fix. Now, in addition to the Rippers, we've got the basic lizard folk. I'm trying to find one that... Okay, here we go. We had a Javelineer squad. And all these come in like 5-man squads. So there's plenty of poses, but then they are all based on different variations of their weapon loadouts, because the idea is that these guys are actually going to be used for skirmish games or, tabletop gaming of whatever your choice may be. I do believe that most of these have one-page rules coming, if not already available, and if they aren't, it's not like you can't really get that all taken care of yourself here. But again, so they have the javelins. I just printed this one, and like I said, I couldn't help myself, and I had some new primer, and it didn't work as nicely as I'd like, but I thought a white primer might be easier to get as a good base coat, since these are all going to be kind of pale. In addition to those, we've got the spear wielders. And as always, very nice detailed bases. They're not glued down yet. And then I want to say this was the glaive wielders as well. This looks like a similar pose, but that's okay. They all have these long, squiggly tongues. Squiggly things seem to be very in vogue with the Cult of the Pale One. In addition to those, we have a unit called the Splayed, which are really having issues. I don't know what's going on with this guy, but that's half the fun. They have this kind of crazy ball of tentacles, Shumagoroth, god entity that seems to be accompanying a lot of them. Their shamans and wizards, magic using types all have these floaty, ball-headed Shumagoroth looking things as well. So this is just the first release if you are seeing anything, and obviously, like I said, there's multiple versions of every pose here, and just because if we're going to be doing any kind of a army, we're going to have some kind of cavalry. So our first cavalry unit are going to be giant piranha dogs, because why not? Now, unfortunately, I did snap off. They're supposed to have a bunch of heads hanging off the back, and I kind of broke them. That's on me. And again, you have your choices of riders. We've got a glaive rider on this one. Multiple poses, multiple weapon loadouts. You are going to have plenty to keep you handy and busy, because this is just the first of at least 3 releases that we've seen previews for at this point. So if you're in a need for savage, feral, bone-covered, crazy-looking lizardmen, this is probably going to be a good set to check out. Personally, I wish they were a little bit larger, and obviously I can go ahead and alter that on my own. I feel like they're kind of limited with the 25mm bases, to the fact that, like, if I have some of the other Dragon Trappers Lodge units for them to fight with, you can see that, I mean, I guess they're just malnourished and, you know, skulking around in whatever areas they like to mess around in. Being that this release was also at the same time as their Mushroom Bayou set, we did have one of the albino lizard folk as a hunter in the bayou. I'm not sure what kind of a shrunken head that is, if it's a human, dwarf, or monkey. As you may know, they did a monkey army a while back. Personally, I'm just going to have them tangling with my hazmat gnomes. But, as always, there's just a lot of fun, interesting creativity going on with the Lodge. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, as always, we'll have that link down below. Fun stuff like this Gator Chef, also from the Bayou. With the fact that we're seeing a lot more resurgence with more machine stuff, it really, I'm like, this dude needs to hang out with my Gatormen. I haven't found them yet, but they should be around somewhere, fingers crossed. Don't think we've had a lot of Gator folk yet from the Lodge, so looking forward to seeing some more of those as well. But yeah, a lot of fun stuff to be had, like we said, and hopefully you guys are going to enjoy it too. So with that said then, this has been High Lord Tamerlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we'll see you back here soon. Bye-bye!